Good morning, students. In the previous class, we have discussed about the uh, different types of satellites and they were discussed about their characteristics. Coming to the next last topic in this unit, that is the virtual circuit networks. So, in this, we are going to study two different protocols. We can say that is the frame relay and the ATM, and we are going to study about its frame format, and also we'll be discussing about how this virtual circuit network works and why this ATM is required. Basically, this is all like when we say like whenever we are transmitting the data or information, then there can be or there is a requirement that we can send the data in a different uh, volumes, you can say, or in terms of different sizes. Okay, so basically like or by using a channel, if it is having a 2 Mbps capacity, initially I may want to send it for with 2 Mbps, and then I will not send any data for another 2 seconds, and then later on I want to send it with 6 Mbps speed. So when we have the different sizes of data by using different bandwidths, whenever you want to transmit the data, in such situations we have to use this ATM system, that is the asynchronous transmission mode. So that we will be discussing later on. So for all those things, before studying that, we'll be discussing about the frame relay. So what is this frame relay is all about? So basically we know that there are three types of switching circuits we can have, that is the uh, packet switching, message switching, and the circuit switching. So these are the three categories of switching techniques we have. And we know that this packet switching network can use two varieties. One is the virtual circuit approach and another one is the datagram approach. So the basically we have discussed this in brief, but as we know about or as we study about this frame relay, so this frame relay is a virtual circuit wide area network protocol, we can say. So basically it is used in wide area network. Like we also discussed one more approach, that is in terms of SONET. So SONET was also used for the wide area network, where we want to transfer the data with the optical fiber cable and so on. So similar to that, this frame relay can be also used in wide area network, and basically it is a virtual circuit. So in case of uh, packet switching, there are two approaches. One is the virtual circuit approach and another one is the datagram approach. So when we talk about this virtual circuit, we need to understand what is the basic meaning of it. Like we had compared this. Again, in the second unit, we'll be discussing about this datagram and virtual circuit and so on. So when we say about virtual circuit, the circuit setup is required, and that is there should be a constant connection or setup has to be done before we actually start the transmission and addressing. Each packet contains a short virtual circuit number. All this VC and other things we'll be discussing now, and each VC requires router table space and so on. So here basically in case of virtual circuit, the important thing you need to remember is before we actually start transmission, the circuit setup has to be done. That is, from this point to this point, there should be a path has to be set first. That means all the packets, the most important thing is route chosen. When VC is set up, all packets follow it. That means once we choose a path or once we choose a route, all packets should follow the same path until and unless all the packets have been transmitted. So that is the beauty of this virtual circuit network, we can say, or the subnet. Like for example, whenever you want to travel to some other destination, there can be different routes available. So in case of virtual circuit, once you start with a particular route or before you start traveling, you have to set the destination and the route you have to set, from where to where I need to reach and what is my path. There can be alternative options. You may go via this and via that and so on. But once you choose a particular path, during the entire transmission or during the entire traveling, you have to follow the same path. You cannot alter it. But in case of datagram, what happens is the packets can choose, each packet is routed independently. So if there is any network traffic or congestion that is occurring, the packets can choose different paths and so on. So this is the basic idea that you need to understand. Are we getting what is the virtual circuit, or what is the most important aspect of virtual circuit network? The first thing is connection setup is required, and the route chosen when VC is set up. Once we set up this virtual circuit, then all the packets that we want to transmit should follow the same path. They cannot change it. Are we clear with this? Everyone?
Yes.
So this frame relay that we are going to study is, or it is supported by the virtual circuit wide area network, and that was designed by the and response demands for the new type of fan in the late 1980s or in the 1990s, we can say. And basically, like it supports the standards that are governed by the ANSI or ITUT and so on. Based on that standards, it works. So let us study about the architecture of frame relay. So what it consists of? Like here we can see that as we know that it is basically a virtual circuit based network. So it provides a permanent virtual circuit and switched virtual circuits. So that we can call it as the VCs. That is the permanent virtual circuit, and the switched virtual circuit, that we can call it as the VCs. So in permanent virtual circuit method, the connection is all the time present. So in case of, when we talk about permanent, the connection is all the time available. It is permanent. But in case of switched virtual circuit, it is not always available. And when we talk about this permanent virtual circuit, the destination and the source machine has to be have the connection. That is, the connection has to be fixed between the source and the destination. But this is expensive, because suppose that if you want to send a particular information, and if you have done the, or if you have made the permanent virtual circuit, then the, whether you are sending the data or whether you are not sending the data, you are utilizing that entire path. But if say for 5 minutes you send some data, and later on you are not sending the data, but the connection is always available, but you are not utilizing it in a proper way. So in the, because of that, it is expensive, we can say. So in this case, the corresponding table entry is recorded for all the switches by the administration, or by the administrator, in fact. So that is the basic of the frame relay network. So here you can see that these are the different computers, and we can have the local area network, and this is the endpoint. Okay, so that is the router, and from the router we can have this frame relay network, or you can consider this as a subnet, where we can have different switches that are connected. And then at the endpoint, like these are all of the computers that we have connected in our lab, we can say. And at the endpoint we can have a router, and through the router it will go into the frame relay network, where it consists of different switches and so on. And again, this is the outside world, or we can say to the rest of the internet. Again, there can be a number of computers that are connected, and here we have the router. So this is the architecture of the frame relay. Basically, you need to understand is it provides a permanent and the virtual circuit, or all the switched virtual circuit, or we can call it as the VCs. But in case of permanent virtual circuit method, a connection is all the time available between the source and the destination machine. So because of this, but it is little expensive. Then what are the features of frame relay? So before the frame relay, there was another standard that used, was the X25. That was the standard that was used before the frame relay, but its data transmission was very less, like it was just 64 kbps data rate, and it was taking too much time. So, and also it had some other problems, like X2.5 has only meant for the flow and error control at both data link layer and the network layer. So it has got some drawbacks, and later on to support the bursty data, we wanted such an circuit, so that we can send the data, or send the information with different traffic, or with different speed, we can say, or with different data rate. So that is the main advantage of having the frame relay. So let us study about the features of frame relay. So it operates at a higher speed compared to the X25. So X25 supported only 64 kbps, but whereas this frame relay supports the speed from 1.544 mbps to 44.376 mbps. So that is the range of frame relay, and it operates at the physical and data link layers. So it is used as a backbone network to provide services to the network layer. So if you remember the OSI model, so first we have the network, and then the data link layer and the physical layer we have. So where this basically works, this frame relay operates at the physical and the data link layers, and it is used as a backbone. And then it basically supports frame relay allows bursty data. So what is the meaning of bursty data? So let us understand this meaning of bursty data. So consider that, okay, this is the time slots we have, that is like a time division multiplexing, and we want to send the data. And here we have the fixed data. Like for example, if you are using our data rate of 3 Mbps, that is 3 megabits per second if you are sending, and if you send it for 10 seconds, so for every 1 second you are sending it in terms of 3. So the total data that you have transmitted is 30 Mbps, because the time slots that we can have is here 10. So this is a fixed data. So for every second, your transmission is like only 3 Mbps, or you are sending only 3 megabits of data per second. But when we talk about bursty data, so why this bursty data is essential? Basically because when we are having the audio transmission or video transmission, the data is not always in the constant rate. I mean, sometimes you will get a high speed data, or sometimes we'll get a low speed data, or sometimes we may not get it. So to handle such kinds of data, we introduce this frame relay, or the next one is, that is the ATM. So when we say about the bursty data, this is the another example, the same example, fixed data that we had. Here what we are doing is, for initial 2 seconds, we are sending the data with 12 Mbps. And for the remaining 5 seconds, and after this, for 5 seconds from 2 to 7, we are not sending any data. And later on from 7 to 10, we are sending the data in 2 Mbps again. So here you can see that 12 into 2, again it is 24, plus 2 into 3, it is 6. The total data that we have transmitted is same again, 30 Mbps. And the time that we have taken in both the cases is again same, 10 seconds here and 10 seconds here. But here we are having fixed data. But whereas in this case, it is bursty data. So the earlier versions before to the frame relay, they didn't support this bursty data. But as we are using the wide area network, okay, when we talk about wide area network, the source and destination machine may be present at very long distance, or the distance between the source and the destination machine will be too much. So, and when we are having the audio or video information that has to be transmitted, we wanted to have, a protocol which can support such kind of bursty data. So for that we use this frame relay. So that is the main advantage of having the frame relay. Are we clear with bursty data, the meaning of bursty data? Everyone? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Others? The time taken in both the cases is same, but this is supporting bursty data, but whereas in this it is fixed size data. But here we are not utilizing this time period in a proper way. That again, that can be understood in when we talk about the ATM. But let's come back to the features. So frame relay allows the bursty data, and frame relay is less expensive than the other traditional WANs. So compared to the other traditional WANs, it is less expensive. And frame relay has error detection at the data link layer only. So it is not having any mechanism of having the flow control. It only supports the error detection mechanism at the data link layer. So there is no flow control that is being provided by the frame relay. That is one drawback of having the frame relay. And also there is no retransmission policy in case of frame relay. That is, for example, if a frame is arrived at a particular network and if it is damaged, so it will not send that information, or it will not send any acknowledgement that this frame is damaged. It will just discard this. The frame relay was designed in this way to provide only the fast transmission capability. So basically it was used in the wide area network, and it was basically meant for fast transmission capability, for more reliable and for the those protocols that have flow and error control at the higher levels. So it can be used as the backbone that can be supported for the network layer protocols. Are we clear with this features of frame relay? Everyone? So if there is a question asked on frame relay or just the short note, so you need to explain these, or just you need to highlight these basic of this features of the frame relay. Now we have the frame relay frame format. When we talk about this frame relay, so basically frame relay is a virtual circuit network that we use in wide area network. So, or it is a protocol that we use it in the wide area network. So this also carries the data, and how it carries the data, and so other things we'll be discussing. So frame relay layers. So what are the frame relay layers that we have? We can have the physical layer and the data link layer. So here we have the simplified core functions of the data link layer, and then these are the ANSI standards. So physical layer, when we talk about this frame relay and its physical layer, no specific protocol is defined here. So there are no fixed protocols that can be used. So it all depends on the network administrator or the user. So it is just left to the end user to decide and implement any of the protocols that is being given by the ANSI standards. So those protocols can be used at the physical layer. Only thing you need to remember is there are no specific protocols that we have to use. It all depends on the requirement and the network administrator or the end user. All the ANSI supported protocols that we use in the physical layer or in the TCP/IP, those can be used. That is, any one of those can be used in the physical layer of the frame relay. And then it also operates at the data link layer. Frame relay uses a simple data link layer protocols that do not support the flow control. So it uses the protocols which do not support the flow control, but which supports only the error control mechanism. So as we understood in the previous slide about the like frame relay supports the error detection mechanism. So it uses the protocols in the data link layer which are meant, or which can support, or which can handle the error detection, but they cannot handle, or it will not use the protocols which are meant for the flow control. It just simply has an error detection mechanism. However, it supports well-defined frame format, and also it supports its frame format is well-defined. Like in case of SONET, also we have discussed about the frame format. Did you remember that frame format? What are basically frames? If you remember the OSI model, what are frames basically?
Optical signal.
No. You have to always remember this. Say at the physical layer, the data will be in terms of zeros and ones. And next, in data link layer, we take those zeros and ones and we make them small units. What are those are called as?
Frames.
Next, about data link layer, we have something called as network layer. So again, we have small units of data. So what we call them?
Packets.
So this you have to remember. As this frame relay works in the physical layer and the data link layer, we will be studying about what will be the frame format of it. That is, what can be the size of this frame format and how much data it can transfer, and what will be the header size, all other things we'll be discussing. So frame relay operates only at the physical and the data link layers. So this is the frame relay frame that you are given in the textbook, but it will be more understanding if you call it as the frame relay frame format. But in terms of examination, you will be taking only this particular, the arrow mark, this diagram is sufficient. Here they are expressing the address field and so on. So you need to draw only this diagram, frame relay frame format. So first thing we have something called as the flag bit, then the address, then the information. So here your actual information will be there. Then the next will be FCS and flag. So what this flag will indicate? So this field is used to mark the beginning and end of the frame. So two flags we have used. So when you are sending the data in terms of frame, so what will be the frame structure of it, or what is the frame format of it? The flag bit indicates the, or it marks the beginning or end of the frame. So here the frame is starting and here the frame is ending. So to indicate that, we use two flags, one at the beginning, one at the end. Next we have something called as the address. So this indicates the destination address. That is when we are sending the frame from which machine to which device or which node we want to send it. So that will be indicated with the address. So this address field indicates that the destination address. And then we have our information. So it contains the payload or actual data that we want to send or that we want to transmit to the receiver. So that is nothing but the information. And then we have something called as the FCS. That is the frame check sequence. We call it as the FCS. Okay, that is the frame check sequence. So what this field will indicate? So it contains the CRC bits. What are CRC bits? We have studied this CRC,
Cyclic redundancy
check. So it is used for what? Flow control or error detection?
Error detection.
Error detection.
So as it supports the error detection only, so this FCS bit indicates, or the CRC bits, for the purpose of error detection. And then we have the last flag, that is for the to indicate the end of the frame. So only this you need to highlight. But again, in the detailed view, they are given what this address basically consists of. So this address field, again, it is divided into smaller segment. It consists of DLCI, CR, EA, and so on. So this is not actually required, but just as an information. CR, it is used for the first one. If we start with DLCI, data link connection identifier, to which data link it has been connected. So connection identifier, that will be indicated with DLCI, it is 6 bits. And then we have 1 bit CR, that is the whether it is a command or a response. Like from the upper layer, that is from the network layer, whether we are getting a command or whether we are getting a response, that will be indicated with C or R bit. Then we have something called as EA, that is the extended address. Again, it is of 1 bit. And then we have DLCI again, which is of 4 bits. And then we have FECN, that is forward explicit congestion notification. That is, if there is any congestion that is occurring in the network while during the transmission, so that will be indicated with FECN. Then similar to the BECN, backward congestion. Then we have discard eligibility, that is whether this frame has to be discarded or not, that will be indicated with this DE field and EA field and so on. That is the extended address. So this is the detailed view of address field of the frame relay format. So it can be asked for the 4 marks. What is the frame relay format, or the explain the frame relay format with neat diagram. So you need to draw only this particular thing. Okay, this you need to draw. This is not required, and you are need to highlight these 4 fields. That is flag, 2 flags, and then the address and the actual information, that is the payload, and FCS, that is the frame check sequence. That will be sufficient. Are we clear with this, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Anybody has any doubts? Yes, I'm waiting for your response.
No, sir.
And as we discussed, frame relay does not provide flow or error control. It just provides the error detection mechanism. So they must be provided by the upper layer protocols, that is like network layer and so on. So that is the one important thing that you need to remember. So next we'll be discussing about something called as the ATM. Like the first one that we discussed about is the frame relay, and the next one we will be discussing about ATM. So this ATM means asynchronous transfer mode, is the cell relay protocol designed by the ATM forum and adopted by the ITUT. So this is again another type of network that we can have, that is the asynchronous transfer mode. So let us understand what is the meaning of asynchronous transfer mode. Like basically it is used in our ATM is used basically when we want to have the video or audio transmission. In such situation we use this ATM. Like we also use this ATM in combination of ATM and SONET can be also used, will allow high speed interconnection wherever we want to have the high speed communication or interconnection of different types of networks and also the computers in worldwide way. We can use this ATM. So in fact this ATM can be considered as like a super highway of information. Okay, so like that is it is very fast. Like we have the SONET we have discussed, because it uses the optical fiber cable, I mean optical fiber signals. So similar to that, ATM can be also considered like a highway of the information, super highway. So when we want to transmit or high speed interconnection, we can use this ATM. So we had some challenges in case of ATM. So we'll be discussing about what were the problems that we have with frame relay and other earlier ones, and then we'll be discussing about the working of this ATM and the cell network. So let us discuss about this problems. That is, when we discussed about the frame networks, what were the problems that we had? So like consider that before the ATM, okay, we use the data communication at the data link layer had been based on the frame switching. So before the ATM, we use this frame relay, and different protocols use frames of varying sizes. So this frame size were not fixed in the frame relay. So because of this, what will happen? As we know that frame relay supports the bursty data. So sometimes it may come with different frame size, another time it may come with different frame size and so on. So different protocols use frames of varying size, and because of this there can be some problems. So what are the problems that can occur? As networks becomes more and more complex, so if you have more number of networks, or intermediately if you have more subnets, it will become more complex to transmit the data, because whenever we want to transmit the data from one computer to another computer or from one node to another node, we always try to add the header information, that is this is the source, this is the destination. So in between during the transmission also we go on adding the header information, that is this is the source address, destination address and so on and so forth. So here you can see that this is the frame size, that is this X as considered as a frame, and inside this blue color is indicating the header information. Only this indicates the data, that is if you consider the entire length of the frame, the data that we want to transmit is very small compared to its header information, that is all the bits and other information, or the source and destination address and all other things are very more, or they are more compared to the original data itself. So if you go on doing this, what will happen? It will take, or it will be a wastage we can say, because the data that we want to send is very small, but the header information itself is too much. So that was one drawback that we had with the frame relay. So the result is larger and larger the headers related to the size of the data, its response, and some protocols have enlarged the size of the data unit. So it will become more problematic to send such type of information in these types of frames. And if there is not much information to transmit, much of the field goes unused. So if you want to send very small amount of data, but even though if you want to send the small amount of data, the frame header information itself is too much. So we are not utilizing it in a proper way. So to improve its utilization, some protocols provided variable frame sizes to users. So let us consider this problem that we had. So consider that we have two channels here, or we can say two links, line 1 and line 2. And here we can say that this is the frame 1 that is coming at 1, and this is the frame, these are the different frames that are coming at 2. Here we can see that the frame sizes are of fixed, but here the frame size is too much. And assume that before the frames comes into the multiplexer, assume that this is coming at, say, at time 12 o'clock, frame X, and in line 2, consider that frame A is coming at 12.05 seconds. Even though the difference between frame X, arrival of frame X and arrival of frame A is too short, but because this X has arrived first, that will be sent over the output signal or to the output channel. But since its frame size is too much, it will take a lot of time. And even though this frame A, B, C have got little information to be transmitted, they must have to wait. So this was a bigger problem in case of the frame relay. Are we getting it, everyone? Yes, are we following it?
Yes, sir.
So what this ATM did, so ATM used something called as a cell network. So what this cell network is all about? So a cell network uses the cell as the basic unit of data exchange. Like we had the packets, similar to that, a cell network was introduced in the ATM. A cell is nothing but a small piece of data unit, or a small, similar to like a packet, we can say, uses the cell as the basic unit of data exchange. And a cell is defined as a small fixed size block of information. So instead of having this different frame sizes and so on, what we can basically do is we can consider these frames that are arriving with different frame sizes, and we can divide them into small cells, and then we can transmit it. So that is what we are going to do in case of ATM. So basically a cell is a small data unit of fixed size, and in a cell all data is loaded. So instead of taking this frame, so and if the frame sizes are of different types, or the sizes of the frames are of different, then we can consider the cells. So in a one cell, all the data, or in different cells, we can say the data that we are going to receive from the different frames can be divided, and that can be loaded into the cell. So in a cell, all data is loaded into identical cells that can be transmitted with complete uniformity. So if you want to maintain the uniformity, we can load the data into the cells as frames of different sizes and formats reach the cell network. They are split into multiple small data units of equal lengths and are loaded into the cells. So for example, if you consider here we can consider that these are the different sizes of frames that are arriving for line 1, line 2, and line 3. So what we are basically doing is we are considering the frames of different sizes. So as we understood, like frame relay supports the different size of frames, and if they are arriving, but they will be having the different frame sizes. But when we talk about this ATM multiplexing, what it will basically do, so when these different frames reach to the network, or they come inside a network, or when they reach the cell network, they are split into multiple small data units of equal length. So this entire frame that we had, it is been split into small data units that we can call it as the cell, and they will be loaded into the cell. So the cells are then multiplexed. So these cells will be multiplexed with other cells and routed along the cell network. So if you can consider in this case, we have three lines, line 1, 2, 3, and here we can say that different size of frames are arriving, but they will be splitted and into multiple small data units of equal length. So here we can see that. Meanwhile, you can give the attendance. So here we have the A1, and then there is no frame that is arriving. I mean, there is no cell, and then we have this third line. So like for example, if you consider the video or movie clip, okay, or a video, it basically comes in different still images will be there, but what we observe is the entire video or the entire movie that we are watching is just a one entire clip of 2 hours or 3 hours, but in reality it will be having the small fragments of that, or you can say small data units of that. So whenever we are the information is transmitted, they will be transmitted in terms of small cells. So in this figure, we can observe that how cells from 3 inputs are multiplexed. At the first tick of the clock, or at the time duration T0, we can say A1 will be sent, and after that there is no, because it supports the time division multiplexing, or they will take in a round robin fashion, we can say. So A1 will be sent from line 1, and there is no cell that is available, so it will be directly shifting it to C1, and then again it will start with A2, then it will transmit B2, B1, C2, and so on. So once all they complete, there are no cells to be transmitted, so it is been shown as empty. So we'll discuss it in the remaining next class.